We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. We all go through the same education system. There's one mainstream science system, there's one mainstream media system, all the same information. Everybody gets it all at once. The question is, are they capable of massive lies? Do we automatically submit to authority? You taught it as fact, you taught it as truth. Now, something else I want to clear up is flat earth is not a new phenomenon at all, but we're talking about the Sumerians, the Chaldeans, the Hebrews, the Egyptians, the Chinese. So this is not some kind of new psyop on the internet. Just the moon in general. We've got the craters on the moon, and they're all round, because they tell us it's meteors and asteroids have created these. There's no impact trails, so they all must have hit straight on at 90 degrees. And the other problem is we always have the same side of the moon facing us, so did they all come from Earth? Something else to ponder as well. There are no real shots of real satellites in space. If they've got all these cameras on all the satellites, why not take pictures of each other? Prove to us. Shut us up. One of the big arguments for a ball Earth is that ships disappear over the horizon. Because if we're on a ball and there's a curve that way and the ships are disappearing that way, then we should see a curve that way as well. And not just across the z-axis, but across the x-axis as well. Because it should be even. We should see it both ways. So sometimes they can be seen, sometimes they can't. It's not because they disappeared behind the curve of the Earth. The way our eyes work has got a lot to do with how things disappear in the distance. This is what we see every time you look out. A flat horizon. And a lot of people will maintain, I've seen the curve from an airplane. Airplanes fly at 37,000 feet, around 7 miles up. So if you've seen the curve from 7 miles up, how did this V2 rocket in 1946 not see the curve from 65 miles up? Yeah, NASA are liars. Yeah, they can fool us with a telescope, but they can't fool science, can you? There's a scientific proofs, isn't there? In fact, you'll find most of the scientific proofs all assume previously that the Earth is there, or it is spinning, etc., etc. So they have to start with that assumption and then they can prove it. But without starting with that assumption, you can't. Again, we go to school and they say the sun's 93 million miles away. Everybody knows that figure. But that has changed ridiculously since Copernicus first came up with this theory. Not only that, they also used to think that the sun was fixed in the centre. Herschel then said, no, the sun's moving as well. It's not like this science is settled or anything, it changes all the time. They say the moon causes the tides. Gravity is supposed to be 6th strength on the moon. But you're telling me from 240,000 miles away, that affects the tides, but the spinning of the Earth doesn't. Things weigh exactly the same at the equator as they do in Britain or the North Pole. All the atmosphere is spinning along with the Earth. That's why we can't feel it, that's how, planes can still fly and everything else. But they want us to believe that the atmosphere is basically acts like one big solid directly attached to the Earth. That's the only way that you wouldn't feel it. But the atmosphere is gas, it's air. They say because of friction, that's what gets the air going. You can't get a solid just by friction to get a gas to rotate along with it. And this is nonsense. It doesn't work scientifically. There are no experiments that prove the motion of the Earth. In fact, quite the opposite. You look up Michelson, Morley, Stagnac's turntables and Airy's failure, three of the most famous experiments in the 19th century, and they all basically prove that we're completely and utterly motionless. That's why they had to bring Einstein out in 1905. They called the theories of relativity.